I had been home from work for about an hour. I was holed up in my room for the night, sitting on my bed watching TV. A heavy storm was raging outside. We don't usually get big thunderstorms like that where I live, so nights like that always make me a little nervous. Not long after the storm started, I heard a noise from downstairs, like it came from one of the rooms in the house. At first, I thought it was just the wood creaking, but I started to feel uneasy, so I got up to check. There was nothing downstairs. Everything looked normal. I filled up my water bottle and went back to my room. I had probably only been upstairs for 5 or 10 minutes when I heard another noise. This time, I recognized it immediately. It was the sound of a lamp in my living room falling over. Yeah, it's weird that I could recognize it so clearly, but that lamp was very unstable. Even a slight bump would knock it over, and I had run into it plenty of times walking past it where it was placed. But one thing was certain. It had never fallen over on its own. I went back downstairs. When I got to the living room, the lamp was lying in the middle of the floor. I walked over and picked it up, but something didn't feel right. The storm wasn't shaking the house hard enough to knock it over by itself. Still, I couldn't see any other explanation, so I forced myself to believe it must have been the storm. But honestly, something inside me was saying it wasn't. I checked the entire downstairs one more time, then went back to my room. I turned the TV volume down and listened carefully to the storm. Maybe it was stronger than I thought. About 45 minutes later, I noticed the sound of the rain suddenly seemed louder. Maybe it had been that loud the whole time, but now it sounded different. It felt like the rain was happening inside the walls. I can't really explain it, but something was off. I opened my bedroom door, and the sound was clearer from downstairs. I went down the stairs and followed the noise to the hallway near the kitchen. There was a storage closet there with a strange door, and I remembered there was a window inside it. The loud sound of rain was coming from behind that door. My anxiety started rising. I slowly opened it and saw that the window was completely open. Water had pooled on the boxes below, and rain was hitting the window frame. It had been more than 6 months since I'd last gone into that storage space, and I was certain I had never even touched that window, let alone left it open. I immediately shut the window. The sound of the rain stopped. Then I turned back toward my house, shaking. I was genuinely shaking. I had made a mistake. My phone was still upstairs on my bed. Now I only had 2 options: go upstairs to get it or run straight out of the house. I was so scared I couldn't think clearly. Slowly, I grabbed my car keys from the kitchen and started moving down the hallway toward the front door. I was hoping that if someone was inside, they wouldn't hear me. I was only halfway there when I suddenly heard loud running footsteps in the upstairs hallway. The sound was heading toward the stairs. I panicked. I ran straight for the front door. The footsteps were getting closer behind me. As soon as I stepped outside into the rain, the footsteps were reaching the bottom. I jumped into my car, threw it in reverse, and sped off without looking back. From my car, I dialed 911. The police came, but they found the house empty. Later, during the investigation, it turned out that the wall with that window was connected to the same wall as the side table where the lamp had been sitting. It's possible that vibrations from someone trying to break the old window caused the lamp to fall. Whoever broke in left no clear evidence. It seemed like they had been hiding upstairs, maybe waiting for me to fall asleep, and then do whatever they planned. Robbery? Or something worse? I don't know. Even now, when I sit alone in my house, I sometimes suddenly feel uneasy, like I'm not alone. It was another night in March. At the time, I was working at a gas station. I usually worked afternoon shifts, but sometimes I had to cover nights. That morning, I got a call. I needed to work from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., and it would count as overtime. I agreed right away. That night, I took over from the manager and sat behind the counter. Heavy rain was pouring outside. They were saying a major storm was coming. The station was almost empty. About an hour later, I put on a raincoat and went outside to bring in any loose items around the bumps. That's when I noticed a man pacing near the side of the road, completely soaked. It seemed strange, but I figured he might be waiting for someone. 2 hours later, the storm had intensified. Strong winds were shaking the building. At one point, the front door flew open so hard it felt like the hinges might break. I ran to lock it and then went into the storage room. About 30 minutes later, through the noise of the storm, I heard faint knocking. I listened closely and realized someone was pounding on the front door. I went out. It was the same man, soaked. I unlocked the door and he came inside. He kept pacing across the floor. He didn't even say thank you. His eyes looked empty. I asked if everything was okay, if he needed help. He didn't respond. I reached for the phone and his eyes suddenly locked onto me. That's when I noticed his hands. His knuckles were cut, bloody and swollen. I didn't stare for long. He clearly said, "Don't." I put the phone down. For about 20 minutes, he just kept pacing. The storm had grown even worse. Every second, I felt like he was about to do something. But suddenly he walked to the door, unlocked it, and stepped back out into the storm. I immediately called the police. The next day, the news reported that a woman had left her office at 11 p.m. that night and never made it home. Maybe I'm connecting things that aren't related, but the condition of his hands and the timing, it all lines up. The third incident. I was working in security. My shift ended at 1 a.m. A violent storm was raging outside. The roads were nearly empty. I was taking a small side road. Ahead, I saw it was flooded. I couldn't tell how deep the water was. I put the car in reverse, and suddenly it started beeping loudly. I looked behind me. A car was parked just 2 feet behind mine. In 10 minutes, I hadn't seen a single car, and its headlights were off. I honked. No movement. Then its door opened. A man in black clothes stepped out, his face hidden under a hood. He walked up and started knocking on my window. I didn't unlock the door. I tried to move the car forward, and he kept walking alongside it. Then there was knocking on the other side. A second man. And behind them, a third shadow. I knew this was bad. I turned the car around, even slipping a little in the water, but somehow managed to get away. As soon as I reached the main road, I called the police. Later, I found out the car had been stolen. The men were gone. To this day, I don't know what was going to happen that night. Maybe I never will.